Welcome everyone to the live stream. Thank you so much for being here with us. Today we have a very special Earth Day edition with Lindsey, who she's gonna tell us all about who she is and all of the other amazing stuff that she's done in her career and to advance more protections for our beautiful planet. But as you guys are trickling in, and I know so many people, hi, hello. And as you all trickling in, please let us know how are you celebrating Earth Day today and what are some of the things that you're doing. But for now, I want to welcome Lindsey to our live stream. Hello and happy Earth Day.
Hi, happy Earth Day.
How are you celebrating Earth Day today?
Well, I'm working hard running for County Supervisor, as you know, because we need somebody in this seat who's really going to advance policies and, more importantly, put them into action at the local level. And that's really what I'm about. And then later today, I will be joining my friends with Global Green for a wonderful Earth Day celebration with the city of LA. So.
That's right, and I think I'm gonna be there with you too. So I'm very excited for to celebrate with you later on. I think at Griffith Park here for the folks that are in Los Angeles. We're gonna be celebrating with the city of Los Angeles later on. But all right, let's get down to business because I have been bringing people into my space and sharing who they are with my community in this edition of Get to Know the Candidate. So I always like to start by just asking about your personal story and how did you land it to in politics and just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Wow. Okay. Well, I got involved in my community because ever since my childhood, I just knew that it was the right thing to do to give back when things are and opportunities are presented to you. I grew up in a conservative community, but in a small town where people kind of saw everyone they knew at church on Sunday. And so that really instilled in me a sense of community, a sense of belonging, but most importantly, an awareness of how much we count on each other and we rely on each other and how much we have to be there for each other and what a difference that makes in community. And so that's been with me my entire life. And so I went to school at the University of Notre Dame. I was an activist on my campus, and I was very involved, especially in issues facing women and girls, and also started activism with the LGBTQ community there, and just really spoke up for people who found it really hard to have a voice in their community in a conservative place, and people who didn't feel seen or heard, and making sure that those who really needed help were centered in the work that we were doing in our community. And so that brings me to my community leadership here in LA. I have been working at the local level in local government for about 15 years in my community. And I have worked with a variety of community-based organizations, meeting people where they are, hearing firsthand their stories and their experience, and working together, building diverse coalitions to make a difference, whether it's been fighting for change for women and girls and fighting against domestic and sexual violence, whether it's been championing protections for our environment and working with community leaders to make a meaningful difference, whether it's been fighting for a meaningful change in the justice system and making sure that we are uplifting just policies and creating opportunity for those who have been most challenged, whether it's building affordable housing, getting our unhoused residents off the streets. In my community, we have about an 80% success rate year after year, getting people off the streets and into housing services or both. All of these things are critically important. In my community, we have uplifted working people, raising our minimum wage and implementing worker protections for those in the hospitality industry and in frontline roles who have really carried us through this time of crisis. I served as mayor during COVID. I served as president of an organization called
Tell us about that. Yes.
Yeah. And, that experience really informed why I got into this race. But it was also something that I will never forget and will never really leave how I feel so long as I live. I mean, seeing community have to come together in a time of crisis, it was it was really remarkable how people stepped up to try and be supportive for each other. And while at the local level, in terms of government, we were waiting for direction from the feds and from the state, we were also working very hard at the local level to meet people and serve their needs immediately. And that's really what means the most to me, is really being able to help people. We created meal delivery service for our older adults who had to stay safer at home. Our recreational employees at City Hall became a call center, calling out to older adults, reaching people where they were in their homes to make sure if they were living at home that they weren't in isolation, that they had a lifeline and resources and support to be able to connect with people. We did so much at the local level. We did a supply drive with our local businesses that had PPE to share with our healthcare providers on the front lines. And I coordinated that effort with a bunch of volunteers who got together and were willing to risk it, collecting those supplies and redistributing them to people who needed it. There was so much that we did that didn't come from, another level of government. It just came from people working together in community to support each other. And I think that's what people are looking for right now. After 2 years of living through this time of crisis, people are frustrated, they're tired, they're angry, and they just want help, and they want results, and they want support. And that's what I've been doing for my community. It's what I've been doing for many communities throughout LA County as president of Contract Cities. And it's what I'm going to continue to do as county supervisor.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're talking about this work that you have done in the city of West Hollywood, because in the midst of the pandemic, I, for example, also founded a mutual aid organization. And I know you're not calling it a mutual aid, but it very sounds like, this mutual help. Like, how do we help you to help yourself so you can help others? And a lot of beautiful things came out of that. But I agree with you that people are right now looking for direction. They're looking for solutions, and they're looking for a new face and new leaders, because they know that the very people that got us into all of these problems, I don't know if we can trust them to get us out of the problems that they themselves created. And I also want to just bring a lot of compassion for people that are watching, for the leaders that try their best. And with the little that they have, or a lot that they have, they try to do their best, for their community. And, this can go in so many ways. We saw other states like Texas and Florida being very lax with COVID regulations, and California being really a lot more strict on how that, affected small businesses, affected people's mental health, students, and a lot more. So I want to invite folks that are watching on Instagram, and if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, we're also streaming on Twitch and on Twitter. And if you don't like the interface on Facebook, just move over there and watch it over there too. We're speaking in all channels. I want to welcome your comments and your opinions. So please post them in the comments. I wanted to ask you, because this work is hard. And for us women, it's extremely difficult to run for office and just to get ahead in the political world. It's much about, it's a system that is not created for women, in my opinion. So I want to ask, why are you running for office? What is igniting this idea of running for office, which is a very crazy thing to do?
It really is, especially right now, because it is so hard. It is, coordinating systems of care and making sure that people are met in the ways that they need is challenging. It is difficult, but it is essential to make the difference that people are looking for right now. And, I have served as president of our local NOW chapter, the National Organization for Women here in Hollywood, as well as National Women's Political Caucus, which is an organization that really helps to train and recruit pro-choice women who want to run for office. So I started out recruiting people to do it. This wasn't what I thought I was going to do myself. But I got involved, and I decided to do it. Actually, I was first appointed to our Women's Advisory Board in the city of West Hollywood, which is a body that that works on issues facing women, girls, and families in our community. And I've been really excited to see the work that we've been able to do on that board, and what has continued in terms of the leadership on that board. It's been a great opportunity not only to bring women to the table and help to inform policies impacting women and girls, but also to be a place where women can learn about how local government works, and then possibly seek a commission appointment or run for office themselves. And so that's been a true joy to see how many women have come out of the Women's Advisory Board and into different and new leadership roles themselves, whether it's been running for office, whether it's been running organizations. And I'm really thrilled about that. And so I was actually first appointed to our city council in a bit of an unusual process, where we were, one of our council members had passed away while he was in office, and he was about in his 90s. And so he had lived a long life and made great contributions, but had left, a really big hole in the community in terms of the service that he provided. And so our city council decided to go through an appointment process, which was a bit unusual. It had never happened in our city. It's happened in other cities before, but it was an opportunity for people in the community to submit an application saying that they wanted to fill the remainder of the term that the council member left. And so I think about 37 of us applied while we were in that process. And, a lot of people were reaching out. I heard about a lot of people who were looking to get involved, and people started encouraging me to do it. And at the time, I think officially lived in my community for about 18 months. And I had just become vice president of my ad agency. And I really thought I had no business getting involved on that kind of level and applying. But I was encouraged by a lot of people, including our current mayor in Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, to apply. And, people said, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Maybe you'll apply and, maybe people will appoint you to a commission, or people will learn that you want to get involved in other things. And so for people who are wondering whether to try, yes, please try, because we need your voice. We need your participation. We need your engagement now. Not, 20 years from now, or after you've had your kids, or after you're in retirement. Especially for young people, we know that our workforce in just a couple of years is going to be, between a third and a half millennial. And we really need to have different perspectives in forming the policies that will govern how we work as a community. So, so back to, what's the worst thing that could happen?
What's driving you to why are you running?
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen is you get appointed to the city council. And so I did. I served for 2 years, and I was in an appointed capacity. I was able to create innovative programs like Facebook for Seniors, where we engaged older adults in getting onto some of these important social media platforms to connect with people. And that was especially critical during COVID, where, we couldn't connect with people in person. Helped to create programs like a renter's bill of rights. I myself am a renter in rent stabilized housing. And so making sure that renters knew what their rights and protections were, who they could call if they needed help, and that City Hall was interested in supporting them if they had issues. All of that was very important to me. And a lot of times people just don't know. There might be good rules on the books. There might be good policies on the books, but if people don't know about them or don't know how to use them, then, then it doesn't matter. And so, at the time, 50% of my community is under the age of 40. And there was no one like that on the city council. There were very few people on boards and commissions who represented sort of that new generation of leadership. And so I saw my role in that appointed capacity, and then as a transportation commissioner, and eventually I was reelected. I was elected onto the council in 2015. I really saw my role during that time as sort of bridging the good work of the past and things that had made our community so special and so wonderful, but also bringing a new perspective and bringing us into the 21st century in meaningful ways, and kind of bringing that all together. And we've been able to do that in really important ways in my community. And I've been excited about the transportation role that I played first as a commissioner, and now, trying to help bring Metro to our community and expand the transportation infrastructure in our region. Yeah, all of that's been really exciting. So
yeah, and I want to ask you more about all of those things that you want to do for LA County, and just like, even I want to ask to the people that are watching here, do you know what this board of supervisors does, or do you even know who your board of supervisors is? Like, super important role. But I want to ask you about that. But before that, I want to really highlight the job or the work that you have done with women, because as someone that has been benefited myself in having someone that maybe see the light in you that you don't see in yourself, or even having the opportunity to say, maybe you should serve in this commission, or you should maybe be part of this advisory board, or maybe you should try to get involved here. And for me, as an environmental justice organizer for so long, it was somebody very special, Barbara Romero, who is, worked in the administration with Eric Garcetti, with Mayor Garcetti. And she saw my trajectory and my work, and for so long, and she was like, I think you should be a commissioner of LADWP. And I remember talking to her and being like, what? And she's like, absolutely.
We have to get a lot of love to those people who encourage us, because I know a lot of times women have to get asked about 9 times before we ever consider running for office. And the people who reach out to us, I'm glad she reached out to you, because your leadership has been absolutely tremendous. But shout out to those who see in ourselves what we might not see at first for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to commend you for all that work that you have done with the women's advisory, and like really skimming. I try to do a lot of that with women of color, Latinas. A lot of you know that I'm from Colombia, so I'm not like the typical Chicana. So there's tons of other women from all around the world that come to me and ask, what can we do? How can we learn? What are some of the things that we can do to support our community? So for me, my heart is in organizing, and I also run for city council, and I can definitely say that it was quite the adventure, and it was great. I had a great experience. But I want to ask, for folks that are watching and don't know, what does the Board of Supervisors does in the County of Los Angeles? I feel that that's like the best kept secret, because they're really as powerful as the mayor. So tell us more about what will be your role when you get elected.
So a little bit about LA County. LA County is 10 million people. It's about the size of the state of Ohio. It's 5 districts, so 5 people are on the Board of Supervisors making policy for 10 million people. And the county is the social safety net for all of us at the local level. It provides us healthcare and services, social services and support. It provides, the sheriff's department, the justice system, and the courts. It is, people hear a lot about LAHSA and in terms of the homelessness crisis that we're facing. So how some aspects of housing and supportive resources for those who are unhoused. It's foster care, it's child protective services. It's so much of what's part of our everyday lives, and often it's the system that helps to uplift those who are most in need. Yeah. And so I think a lot of times that's why the work of the county is not as visible to people, or people might not know what it is, because not everybody is always accessing services from the county. But we certainly learned during this time of crisis the role of the public health department, and in a time of crisis, or our firefighters during wildfires, and the way that they have responded to try and keep us safe. So we are touched in our lives each and every day by the county, even if we don't know it. And people work very hard. There's over 100,000 employees in LA County doing the work day to day to lift up working Angelenos. And so it's really important that people understand what the county board is, not just because of the services that it provides, but this year now the budget will be close to 40 billion with a B.
I was going to ask you,
and
$40 billion.
Yes. So there is a lot of money at stake in terms of investing wisely and effectively in the resources and support that people need. And so that's a lot of opportunity to make meaningful change. And that's the thing I'm most excited about, is making sure that we're investing that money in the right places. We can't just throw money at problems and hope things get solved. We have to do so intentionally, with partnership of local community, working with community-based organizations, and really meeting people where they are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I want to ask you a question that somebody's asking on Facebook. So Bernard is asking, what would you do differently? So tell us about like your platform, which is like my next question. So Bernard, thank you for asking. It's the perfect segue. What would you do differently, and what is your platform? What are you running on?
Sure. So I think the issues that we hear most frequently from people, no matter where we go in the district or quite frankly throughout the county, people are talking about the need for change and homelessness and housing, the need for change in terms of what keeps people safe, the need for change and making sure that people have good jobs to go to work that afford themselves and their families a good quality of life, because right now it just feels like everything is so darn unaffordable. Making sure that we're delivering on the promises of Measures R and M and building out our regional transportation infrastructure, which is important for jobs and access to essential healthcare and services, but it's also critical for our environment. And for me, that's also a key piece, making sure that we fully implement LA County's sustainability plan, which is informed from a bottoms-up approach and really brought together community leaders and community members to inform how we need to be taking care of our environment and what different needs exist in different kinds of communities, because it's not, we can't have one size fits all policies when different communities are facing different challenges. And I want to shout out Pacoima Beautiful, which was really a leader for our district in District 3. Their voice was so critically important in forming that plan. But, those are a lot of the priority issues. But what sets me apart in this race, I'm the only local elected official who's had to deal with these issues on the ground and actually implement meaningful change. Absolutely. So, while some people have had experience passing policies or maybe allocating money, what I've had to do is actually take those resources if we get them and find resources if we didn't get them and still be able to meet our residents where they are, take care of them in a time of crisis, make sure that they had the support and care that they needed, find community partners to bring culturally competent care and support on these issues that have reached crisis proportions, work together and listen to people. I mean, the reason we were able to make such meaningful change in our workplace and in terms of worker protections is because we listened to folks in our community who shared with us their experience and the challenges that they were facing. And I think, several years ago, I met with, I had an unhoused person sleeping on the steps of my campaign office in 2011, and he shared with me that he couldn't find a place to live because he had a dog and there wasn't a place where he could live with his dog. And so what we did was connect him with, not only getting him on our affordable housing list, but connecting him with social workers and supportive services to get him connected with care. I'm now proud to say he lives in West Hollywood in affordable housing because we have an inclusionary housing policy that requires at least 20% of all of the housing that we develop to be set aside for moderate, low, or very low income people. We've had set asides for unhoused people, for older adults and seniors who are low income, for trans youth who needed housing with supportive services. We've made all kinds of new housing opportunities in our community while also protecting people in housing they could afford through renter protections. And so through that balance and that mix of solutions, we've been able to do a lot of good and support people on the ground at the local level. And I've not only done this in my community, but I've partnered with cities throughout LA County, throughout this district and throughout the county entirely, making sure that they knew how to access information about Project Home Key or access resources from the county if they contract for services with Public Works or the Sheriff's Department or fire. If they needed additional information or help from public health. I was their liaison during this time of crisis. So I saw the need on the ground in so many different communities and had to figure out how to access what the county was supposed to provide and get it out of that hall of administration and into the community and into the hands of the people who needed that help. So that's really what sets me apart, is that's the kind of experience that I bring, 15 years working on the local level, meeting people where they are.
Yeah, and I want to also just remind folks that are voters, people that are watching, that sometimes, you have a different type of experience, and that's also very valid. Because traditionally, for many years, we have been electing these people. Oh, well, he was the former city council, or he was this, or he was. he was already in government for X amount of years. And we all bring so many other experiences as women, as renters, as people that maybe own small businesses, and that maybe have served in maybe other organizations where we really have to work with people. And
Yeah.
and running for office and being an elected official is really about serving other people. We're in
Yes.
the business of serving.
Absolutely. And right now, since you mentioned it too, I think as we look at the potential reversal of the protections of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court, we know that there's a case that's coming to the Supreme Court that could take
Super
away
important.
some of our reproductive rights and protections. I know that the support of my friends at Planned Parenthood who have endorsed me in this race, but most importantly, the life-saving work that they do each and every day is going to be even more critical, not just for the residents of LA County, but I believe as restrictions are put in place and rights are rolled back, LA County is going to become the epicenter for reproductive justice for the entire country. So we have to be prepared. I've worked to create a plan in my own community on how we coordinate with LA County. LA County has created their own action plan led by Supervisor Kuehl, who has endorsed me for her seat,
Yes.
Supervisor Mitchell, and got, of course, unanimous support from all of the mighty women board members who are there. And so you're right, that different perspective really makes a difference, especially in this moment. And so I'm just really grateful for the support that people are bringing to pay attention to all of the issues that we're going to face.
So for folks that are watching and might not know, not trying to put anybody here on blast, you should all know where if you're in your elections, if you are voting for your supervisor. Tell us what the district, like what's the geography. So for folks that are like, oh, I didn't know, I need to vote for her, And,
yes.
And just to remind you people that in California, we're getting ballots by mail.
Yes.
You don't have to go anywhere, but if that's what you like, you can too. But you get ballots in the mail very soon. They're dropping Mother's Day, I think. Yes. Mother's Day week, Mother's Week.
May 9th. The week of May 9th.
May 9th. Yes. There you go. And you get in it. You can be with your friends. You can maybe a little party. Fill it out with your people and send it. And that's it. You don't have to do like a whole lot.
Yes, actually, yeah. When people make a plan, they are much likelier to turn out to vote. So just make a plan. If you get it in the mail, the day you get it in the mail, you want to fill it out and drop it back in. Cool. You want to make a plan to go to the polls with your friends and vote at a voting location. Great. You want to bring your ballot to a voting location or to a drop box in your neighborhood. Cool. Whatever your plan is, just make a plan so you make sure you get it done because this election is critically important.
So who can vote for you? Where was the jurisdiction?
Oh yeah, so the lines changed a little bit through the redistricting process. Yeah. So we have parts of Hollywood, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, West LA, Santa Monica, Venice, and Palms. It goes all the way up from the West Coast, Malibu into Agora Hills, Hidden Hills, Westlake Village. We have new communities like Porter Ranch and Canoga Park that are part of the district. Then we go all the way to the east. We have Sylmar and Pacoima and Olive View in the East Valley, and then all the way down through the middle. So Sherman Oaks, Reseda.
If you are in any of these locations, put a little heart in the comments because I want to see who you are and make sure that you're voting.
Yes, it's so important. It's so important. And a lot of people, are just sort of figuring out which district that they're in because of redistricting. Some people are just realizing that there's an election coming up because there's been such a big focus on the mayoral race in Los Angeles and, maybe people spending lots of money on that race. So it makes everything a little bit more expensive for every other race. And so it's important that everybody knows all the races that are on the ballot and get informed and engaged in all of the campaigns so you understand, what's on the ballot and what's at stake.
Absolutely. So it's Earth Day.
Yes.
And I'm kind of love it, but I kind of hate it because I feel like Earth Day is being corrupted by the fossil fuel industry and by the people that don't really care about Earth Day, but they're waiting for Earth Day to do something. And Earth Day should be every day. Mm-hmm. Give us one thing that you've been doing and that we need a homework for this Earth Day.
Well, Well, one thing that I think is very important that we're doing policy-wise, and then one thing that we can do at home. How about that? So I
Yeah,
think
perfect.
one of the big things that has happened in LA County is the creation of a new clean energy provider called Clean Power Alliance. It is a community choice aggregate, which brings together communities from Los Angeles County, Ventura County, and then the unincorporated areas of both of those counties, and puts us all right at the table instead of making money for an energy company for shareholders. We are directly accountable to our communities and to the people. We have voted many communities to be 100% renewable energy, including my own. And we have eliminated coal and nuclear from our power mix, really opting towards a focus on renewable energy. And we've even opened up a new solar plus storage facility, creating new green jobs and creating new ways to actually generate that energy that comes into our communities. And we've created programs also that support low-income folks who are very much interested in opting in at that 100% level and making sure that it is affordable and accessible for everybody, because we all need to be focusing on how we're creating energy in our communities and move to a clean energy future. And so one of the things that I remember as a kid, I got this book. I don't even know if it still exists. It's called 50 Things Kids Can Do to Save the Earth. And I certainly hope there's like a 2022 version of it. I remember reading it just before we went on vacation. And, I told my mom, I was going around doing all these things, these little tips that they taught kids that they could, make sure their faucets weren't dripping or, and small things.
Take short showers. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And then they said, you can even call your utility company if you're going on vacation and ask them to monitor to see if there might be leaks in your home. So I went and told my mom. She's like, "We are not calling." And I said, "But Mom, we have to save the planet." And so I think it's important that we're teaching people of all ages what little things that they can do and start to make it part of your everyday life. In my community, we eliminated, and I know LA County just moved to eliminate single-use plastics. And so we've put ourselves on a timeline of how we're going to do that in our city and how, and so you think about the things that you just throw away in a day. We have a real unique opportunity each and every day to reduce, reuse before we recycle. And those other two R's are very, very important. And so making sure that we're not using single-use plastics and disposable products, and instead trying to reuse and conserve as much as we can, especially conserving water and energy. So there's a lot that we can do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And, before our time is up, I usually ask people in this process of bringing candidates for office, for me, is to educate our community, is also to teach them that it's important for us to build relationships with elected officials or with people that are running for office.
Sure.
And that we should also support good candidates, grassroots candidates that maybe are not your typical, candidate out there.
Sure.
So, but in the process of running for office, I feel like people don't have any idea of how hard it can be, and like how difficult and lonely and how strenuous physically and mentally it is, how heartbreaking it is.
Yeah.
And the daily basis, you have many wins, but you also have many heartbreaks.
Yes.
So share with us an anecdote of like one of the pieces for you that is the most challenging about running for office.
Sure. So for those who have done it, how do they say it? If you know, you know. And I know you. I know you know. There are days that are really great. You get, you get contributions and help to raise those funds that you need to sustain your campaign, or you get a really meaningful endorsement, or you hear a great story of how somebody was served or touched by your campaign or by your work in the community. All of that is really important. But it is very strenuous. It's very, especially in a district as big as ours, with more, more than 2 million people, trying to touch everybody and effectively connect with everyone, and make sure that we're doing our best to meet people where they are. I could be working 24 hours a day between now and election day and still not get there. And it feels like sometimes. And so, I know that so many people have invested in me and are supporting me and encouraging me. And sometimes that can feel like the wind at your back, and that feels great. And sometimes it can feel like a little bit of anxiety, like so many people are counting on me, so I have to work that much harder and dig in that much deeper to really making a difference. So I would say for people who are looking at running for office, know who that support network is, maybe those handful of friends that you're going to rely on, to keep you sane and cared for during your race. The people who are just going to show up without being asked, who know what you need and are able to bring that smile to your face or say the word of encouragement, whatever it is that you need, to remember, why you got in the first place, really centering, getting out of all of the craziness and drama that campaigns can bring. And just remember, this is about serving people. This is about making sure you actually connect with them and that you're hearing what it is they need. Because, like you asked, a lot of people will say, well, why are you running, or what are you running on? The most important thing I'm running on is meeting people where they are and hearing what it is they need. And I think that's what people need the most from LA County right now, is showing up and delivering the things that they need in the way they need them. I think about, there's an undocumented resident in my community who reached out, who was concerned about trying to go to one of the county vaccination sites. He had tried to go to a Walgreens in a neighboring city, and they turned him away because they asked for ID and he couldn't produce an ID card. And so he called and said, what do I do? And so I contacted the county, said, if I know somebody who's undocumented, walk me through what that process is like. What are the safety protocols in place to make sure that people can safely access healthcare support? And so, I supported him through that process, making sure that he was able to safely get vaccinated. And, he reported back that everything was as I explained that it was, but not everybody takes the time to kind of walk somebody through and make sure that they're kept safe. And I think that's really where I hope the county is able to change the most, is really meeting people in ways that are safe, comfortable, accessible, and rooted in community. And that will make the transformational difference I think everybody's looking for.
Amazing. So for us to close up, what are some of the ways that we can support you, if folks that are watching or when they share this live stream around? What are some of the ways where people can plug in to your campaign and support you and help you, get to the finish line?
Sure. So you can go to our website, which is lindseihorvath.com, and you can sign up to volunteer. You're able to contribute. You can give us information on what more you want to see in terms of the issues that we're talking about in our campaign. You can follow us on social media. I'm Lindsey P. Horvath on Instagram and Twitter and on Facebook, and we have a volunteer and field coordinator who's making sure that we will be calling and texting and doing all the things that we need to do to reach all of our voters. But please communicate with us. Let us know what it is you need, what you need us to be talking about, and what it is you'd like to be seeing in your community. We certainly could use your financial support, but we also just need that financial support helps to make sure that we're reaching our voters. So if you have an email list, email out to them and let people know this election is coming up. And it's not just for the LA mayor, it's for your county supervisor and so many other positions. Sharing on social media, encouraging, like I said, to make your friends make plans to vote. All of those things will make a meaningful difference this June.
All right, guys. So you see her website here on the screen. And all right, and I see you have a lot of fans. And if any of the fans can put their website on the Instagram chat so that I can pin it, so that folks can see it. But I want to thank you so much for all of your hard work.
Thank you.
For putting yourself out there, for trying to do something better for our community. I might not be in your district, but I know that whatever you do affects me also. And that whatever the one supervisor does affects all of us. So thank you so much for being that voice, and for supporting more women in office, for supporting just more women in leadership roles, and for taking the courage to get out there and try to do something different, and to try to serve our community in the best way you can.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you saying that. And I want to just give all of that back to you. You have been an outstanding leader. You are such an incredible, fearless voice. You hold people to account to make sure that we are making that meaningful change. And I will say, even though only people in this district can vote for me, we will be able to make decisions that impact all of LA County. So everyone should be paying attention. Get involved, talk to your friends, and you do that in such a meaningful way. I don't know how you do all of the things that you do, but I am grateful for your example, and you really help to make Los Angeles a cleaner, a safer, and a better place to live. And I'm just really grateful for you, Aura.
Oh, I appreciate you. This is like the sweetest message for me on Earth Day. But we'll get to hang out and later on this afternoon. I'm headed to USC for Earth Day there, where I'm gonna be, talking to some of the folks from the Clean Power Alliance.
Wonderful.
So thank you. Yeah, so it's gonna be more of this. So guys, just stay tuned. Thank you so much, Lindsey. You have an awesome Earth Day.
Same to you. Let's go save our planet.
Absolutely. All right. I see you soon. Bye. So, all right, guys, this is it. Another get to know the candidate. And this one had a very strong Earth Day flavor with Lindsey. Thank you all for participating. Please make sure that you follow her and that you support her in anything you can. It's not always about money, guys. If you show up and you decide to volunteer for a few days and knock on doors, that's also power. And as we continue building power collectively, we'll continue getting educated. It's important for us to get involved. So thank you so much. Happy Earth Day, everyone. And I talk to you very soon. Bye.